Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Dana Schmidt-Johnson. I'm the community manager of the Ritual Society. Today, we have with us one more time, because we just couldn't get enough of her, Kiala Givehand, to talk about creating your own spreads. This allows you to dive deep into your personal questions, receive guidance on your specific situations, rather a general reading, 1, 2, 3, right? Something like that. So we're so excited to have Kiala back with us. If you haven't met her for some crazy reason, she is a life alchemist, poet, bookbinder, leader of the Pull, Pin, Paint online series, Double Capricorn, and multi-passionate seeker of truth. So we're so excited to have her back. Yay. Welcome back, Kiala.
Thank you, Dana. I should just take you everywhere with me. Your energy when you introduce me is like, yes, please. Yes, more of that.
I'll be your personal cheerleader wherever you go. Absolutely.
I love it. Thank you. That was awesome. It also made me go, I should probably start adding the word proud double Capricorn, Leo rising to my bio, because I'm going to tell you, I wasn't always proud about it. It's like, oh, why do I have to have the double Capricorn and the Leo right? But the more I learn, the more I know, the more I'm like, yes, I own it. I receive it. I'm all that. So
I honor that so much. I think we all have traits in our charts that we're less excited about. So I get
yeah. So thank you for having me back. I'm excited to talk about creating your own spread. So I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, such a fascinating kind of twist on a topic. Let's talk about them. Because we do 3-day or 3-card daily spreads in the society. So we have tons of planner spreads, we have workbook spreads, we have spreads on spreads on spreads, right?
Yes, yes.
What's the significance of a spread?
So let's talk about the whole spreads on top of spreads on top of spreads moment first, because same, right? Like I have all the spreads and I love doing spreads. So I get myself into this thing where I'm like, I could spend a whole day just doing spreads, right? So I think what I want to bring forward first and foremost is that, yes, there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of spreads that we could find, hundreds of thousands probably, right? If we really started searching. And that's awesome. I love that we have that at our disposal. And if we're in a slump or we can't think of something, like we can go and find that. What I think is also really important to name about working with spreads, y'all, is that we can also, and I'm speaking from experience, we can also get ourselves into a place where we're just doing spread after spread after spread. And we're not actually leaning into the guidance of the cards. The spreads are fun. It's like, what do you do when you really lean into what the cards are saying to you? Like, I firmly believe, don't come to the cards if you're not going to listen to what they're telling you to do, right? So the significance, I think, of moving from using spreads that have been created for you to moving to spreads that you create yourself is personalization, right? I mean, that's the biggest part of it, is like you get to start personalizing it. I think you even use the word now. You say we have a daily pull, 3-card daily pull general spread, right? And I think that is good and helpful. And especially if you got, especially if you're in something like a ritual society and everybody's doing the same thing and the same spread, and now you have a common language through which you can speak and talk and share and, process. But I think there's really something powerful about personalizing your spreads, because you can really get to the nitty-gritty of some stuff that's happening in your life, some questions that you have, some things you maybe have been, I don't know, we'll say ignoring, not wanting to look at, that you can really dig into and make it your own. And I think that was kind of the epiphany for me when I started making my own spreads, as I went, oh, now we're talking. Now we're getting there a little bit faster, a little more, right? A little more accelerated. And so it can be, and also it can be gentle. Don't let me frighten y'all. I don't want you to think that it's like, oh no, it's going to be too much. I also think that it can be fun. That's the other reason to do it, right? Fun and function. That's kind of my world. I like things to be a little bit of both, a little fun, a little function. And so I think, that's the biggest reason is personalization. You really get to bring it down from the general and bring it into the personal, which I think can get you deeper faster sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not just looking at what's available to you or what, is coming at you, or like
Yeah.
morning, afternoon, evening. That's a great place to start for anyone.
Yeah.
But you're asking really specific questions of the cards um,
Mhm.
in your own way. Is there a time when it would be better to use a pre-made spread over
Mhm.
creating your own, or is that personalization really like
Mhm.
mwah,
Yeah.
on the cake?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. And I'm just gonna say, first and foremost, don't ditch the pre-made spreads, y'all. This is not what that's about. Because I think it's important that we have both, really. I am also of the mindset that I like to blend. Like I like to look at a spread that someone else has created, and I see what it's asking me, and I pull cards, and then I add to that, which would personalize it for me, right? So don't ditch the pre-made spreads. Let's just go ahead and name that out of the gate. I think that Celtic cross, right? Like we don't want to ditch that. We don't want to ditch the ones that are like tried and true and have been around since the dawn of tarot, right? Like I think we want to keep those for sure. Um, and I think specific topics, right? Like some people will create something for a specific topic or a specific theme, or like, I create lots of them for the phases of the moon, right? So like maybe you're not really adept yet at working with the phases and you're not sure. And so you see someone else has created one. So yeah, I think there are definitely situations and times when it's better to use a pre-made one, especially if you're the kind of person that gets in your own way when you're trying to create things and you overthink and overanalyze. And so you're toiling over what's the placement of this card versus that. Like, I don't know where to put things. And I'm not, if you're that kind of person that it causes you a little bit of anxiety to try to make your own all the time, definitely go to the pre-made ones. Like, I think there's some really good stuff in there. So yeah, I think definitely don't ditch the pre-made ones. They have their value, and we don't want to just get rid of them. So yeah.
Definitely. How long have you been creating spreads? I feel like,
Mm,
the idea is there, but over
yeah.
time, does it get easier as you do it?
So I will say this: I didn't ever know that wasn't a thing people did. I just thought everybody was creating their own spreads. So I'm gonna be conservative and say maybe 6 years I've been creating my own spreads. And I think it was really born out of having the pulp and paint community and seeing that we all were like, spreads were powerful. They were doing things for us. They were helping us shift and change and really go a little bit deeper with the cards and conversation. And so I think I started just creating them out of, oh, this would be fun. Let's see what happens if we put this here, and ask this question and do right. And so it became almost like a puzzle for me, like a little engineering uh, conundrum in a way. Like I wanted to figure out the dynamics of a spread and create my own like language around my spreads, which for me is really fun. Some of you may be like, oh God, that sounds horrible. But but I thought it was really fun for me to do that. And so I think I've probably been doing it that long. And yes, it does get easier. I think now I feel like I create spreads in my sleep. I wake up with a spread. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Where'd that come from? Right. So I think it does get easier over time. The more you do it and the more you really lean in and trust that the questions, and I think, let me say this, I think some people don't make their own spreads because they don't trust themselves to make their own spreads yet, right? They're like, well, Dana's been doing this forever, so she's got it. I'm gonna listen to her spread, like she knows exactly what she's doing, right? And so there's a little bit of a trust issue. They might go, I don't trust myself yet to make my own spreads. This person knows what they're doing. I trust that they got it. And so there is that. And I think once we lean into our inner voice knows what questions to ask sometimes too, right? Yeah, we welcome questions from the outside because sometimes there are questions we don't know to ask, and that's helpful. That's why we're not going to ditch the pre-made spreads. So yeah, it gets easier. It does.
Well, that's good to know. It can
Yeah.
be intimidating. Like you said, I like that idea of, just kind of being open to what's there, and allowing, the opportunity to ask the cards and trusting yourself in doing that, because
Yeah.
it can be confused. I mean, I think we all probably started with like the Celtic cross that was in the booklet, and
Yes,
like,
yes. The
you're
past,
like
present,
facing cards
future.
different ways, and it feels very like prescriptive, like a recipe almost, right? And so
Yeah.
you don't want to jump in. It feels so sacred and particular, and you don't just want to jump in feet first and start asking questions, because it seems kind of like you need to do it in a certain way. But it sounds like as you do it over time, it gets easier. You kind of get a better idea, and really trusting yourself is key in that.
Yeah.
So I'd say that that's a great beginner tip for this, without getting too much into, what we're going to be talking about in the class. Do you have any other beginner tips for creating your own spreads?
Yeah, I definitely do. I have some beginner tips. Before I go there, though, you just said some really interesting, good things, and I just want to pull those threads for a moment. The first one is the sacredness of creating spreads, right? So even though I'm sitting here going fun, functional, I do kind of consider every spread to be pretty sacred. Like I do the ones that I create, I do still look at them. I've thought about them. I've thought them through. I have 6 years ago, the first one I created, I don't think I was thinking about it the way I think about them now. So that also develops over time, your relationship to placement of the cards and so on and so forth, right? So there is still a way to create that sacredness, even though we feel like, well, the Celtic cross has been around since the dawn of time. So it's earned that right to be sacred and have that right. But I think anything that is born out of us can also be treated as sacred, and so I want to name that for people, because I think it's really important. And the more like, I have a spread that I have been using probably for the last 5 years. I use it every single month. I rely on it because it has not let me down in terms of giving me really good guidance, right? The questions are, and I've tweaked the questions over time, right? And it has become like a thing. And I got to a point where I was like, I don't need to tweak it anymore. Now it is, and I can just use it, right? So I think it's just going to develop for those that like this and really gravitate towards this once they kind of hear me talk about it in the class. I think you will find over time that it really does become sacred, and it can be that, and it can also be like loosey goosey, willy nilly fun, and you don't have to, right? You don't have to put too much pressure on the spread, right? It can be that as well. So in terms of beginner tips, I think the first thing I would say is start small. Don't jump out of the gate with, I'm going to create a 12 card spread, right? Start with 2 or 3 cards and see what happens. I really did build on what I already saw as like the staples, right? Past, present, future, mind, body, spirit, the 3 card spreads, right? Start with a pre-made spread like past, present, future, and then add 2 cards, right? 2 cards that you want to ask more questions of. Now, I'm going to just give you a little taste of something. Most of you are probably creating a spread and you don't realize it. When you look at a spread and you pull a card and you go, oh, I need a clarifier. As soon as you add a card, you've created your own spread, right? So that's one little basic way of kind of thinking about it. And as soon as you add a clarifying card to the table, you've just expanded the spread that you were already using. So that's a good entry point, right? Is to just add some clarifying cards. That's really great. So start small. And then the other tip I would give to beginners is, let's see, thematic. Like come with a theme, right? Like come with I really want to work with abandonment in this spread, and build your spread around that theme, right? Maybe the theme is joy. I want to come to my cards around the theme of joy. And so you start by having a theme, and then you ask questions into that theme. And then you decide how you're going to lay the cards out, right? So I'll be talking more about like all the different components of spread building, I think. But I think the best thing is to start small, y'all. Just start small, have a theme, and see where that takes you. And don't worry too much about the rules of spread making, because I can go ahead and tell you right now, spoiler alert, there are no rules. Spoiler alert.
That'll freak some of us out a little.
It will.
Some of us need rules.
But I do have guidelines that I will be providing during the class. There will be some guidelines to help you create the container for yourself. And then my hope is that once you feel comfortable in the container that you have created, that you'll give yourself permission to kind of, nudge out of the boundaries of it at some point, right? So I will give you guidelines, because listen, you double Capricorn. I need the structure, I need the order, I need all that. So I do have the guidelines that I'll share, but I do hope also that people will really allow it to be an unfolding of you, because some of you are ready. Your soul is ready for you to like start building your own spreads, because it has questions it wants you to ask that are not showing up in the pre-made spreads. And so as soon as you open that door for your soul, the floodgates will come out, and you will be like, oh my God, I made 10 spreads in a week. I don't even know what to do. Right. So just come along for the journey.
That feels so magical. Oh, wow. I cannot wait for this class. Kyla's going to be with us in November in the society. In the meantime, we will, of course, put all of your info again down at the bottom of this video, but where can we find you?
Yeah, Instagram's the best place. It's where I hang out the most these days. It's still my happy place over there. I like going and finding folks and seeing. I know it's not everybody's happy place, but I'm not on the other thing. So Instagram is the best place. Kiala Gives, one S at the end of that. That's really the best place. And then obviously I would love y'all to always come take classes, see what things I'm doing and creating over there. But all my shenanigans are happening on Instagram. So come on over there.
We love shenanigans. We will be sure to follow you, and we will see you in November in the society. Thanks so much for being here today, Kyla.
Thank you, Dana. It's been awesome.
Bye-bye.